Hi, it's Mrs. Oliver today, bringing you our lesson 1-3 from our textbook on converting unit rates. Okay, so we know how to find unit rates, but now we're going to take it and if we have to convert them into different type of units, such as hours into minutes or seconds into a minute or feet into miles, those type of different converting. Okay, so remember, to compute your unit rate, you take what it asks for you to find per hour, per minute. Normally, if it's written in a word form, per is where you know you're going to put your division, miles per hour. So we'll divide right there. But now we're going to take it a step and we're going to change one or both of the units to get a different one. And this is all because we're going to eventually analyze proportional relationships and use proportional equations to solve the problems. Okay, so in your textbook, okay, we are going to do some of the examples from this lesson, and then your homework will be from the textbook as well. So here we have different rates and given what it is in the other measurement, such as it takes 12 inches to make 1 foot, 16 inches to make a pound, 8 pints for a gallon, 3 feet for a yard, 5,280 feet for 1 mile. And then you have also some of our metrics. And remember, each relationship in the table can be written as a unit ratio. Okay, like a unit rate, a unit ratio is one in which the denominator is a 1 unit. Below are 3 examples of unit ratios. Okay, so 12 inches to 1 foot. This is a ratio, but it's a unit ratio because we have the 1 in the denominator, just like when we find our unit rates. Okay, so the numerator and the denominator of each of the unit ratios are shown are equal. So therefore, they have a value ratio is 1. Right? Because if I was to ask you, well, how many inches make a foot? You would say 12. So these are actually equal to each other to make it a ratio of 1. All right, so on the next page, we have example number 2 with our swordfish. Okay, this is page 27 of our textbook. So if a swordfish can swim at a rate of 60 miles per hour, how many feet is this per hour? So that's where they gave us some of our information that we actually do need for what they want us to find and what they want us to change it from. Okay, so we started with our miles per hour. Okay, that's where we started, but now they want us to change it to feet per hour. So you start with your miles per hour, like we had, our 60 miles over 1 hour. But then we have to multiply it. And if you notice, we want to know what is 1 mile and then how many feet is that. So if we looked at our little table over here, 1 mile is our 5,280 feet. And then we can cross out our miles because they're gone. They cancel each other. Just like if I put 1 over 1 or 2 over 2, it makes 1. If I put mile over mile, it does the same thing. So that's why we divide out our common units. We cross them out. Then we can actually take our 60 times our 5,280 feet. And 1 times 1 makes 1. So that gives us, this is how many feet we go per hour. So a swordfish can swim at a rate of 316,800 feet per hour. Okay, it can look complicated, but if you take it step by step, it isn't that difficult, and you can have this table to help you if you do not know these units already. Okay, so you're given everything you need. So then let's say number 2 or number 3. We have a speed of walking at a speed of 7 feet per second. So this is where we started, feet per second. They want us to change, though, from feet to hour. Okay, so we start with our 7 feet over 1 second. Then we're going to multiply it by 60 seconds over 1 minute. Okay, this time we are changing our seconds. So you want to diagonally put your seconds on the top and then minute on the bottom. Then diagonally, how many minutes does it take to make 1 hour? And that's why we have where it is 7 times 60 times 60. Cross out your common units and then simplify, which is just multiplying across. So we know that Marvin walks 25,200 feet in 1 hour. So how are these similar and how are they different? Well, they're similar because we had to multiply. Okay, so if you notice, we multiplied both. With this one, we only multiplied once. This one, we actually had to multiply 3 times. Problem number 2, we had to change it from miles to feet, whereas this time we went from seconds to hours. Okay, they both had where we cross-canceled out our common units, simplified to give it a 1 answer. All right, let's flip our page over to page 28. Okay, so this is where we're going to do our guided practice. Okay, so for our guided practice, water weighs about 8 3/4 pounds per gallon. Remember, right there tells us how we're going to set this up. Per is the division line. And about how many ounces per gallon is the weight of the water. So when I go to set this one up, I'm going to start with my 8.34, and then I'm going to put pound, P for pounds, and then how many, well, we got 1 gallon. Okay, well, what are we wanting to change? We're wanting to change from ounces per gallon. So we're wanting to change our pounds. So when we think about this, well, to make 1 pound, how many ounces is that? Well, if you look back at our previous page, there is 16 ounces per pound. That lets me cross out my pounds so that we know we're going to end up with ounces over a gallon, and then multiply across. And we get our 133 and 4/10 ounces per gallon. Okay, and that keeps a 1. So as a sentence form, it is 1 ounces per gallon. Okay. All right, feel confident. Try number 2 on your own and come back and check your answer. Okay, so it wants to know our feet per second, but we are going to change it to feet per minute. If I start with my 176 feet per 1 second, I am going to multiply it. Well, how many seconds make a minute? 60. And then, of course, we come in, we can cross out our seconds. And when you multiply, you get 10,560. And remember, now this is feet per minute. Feet. Running out of room. Okay. And you have a couple problems on your homework that is just like those 2. So if you get stuck, these are 2 that you can come back and look at. It's the whole purpose of those, right? All right, 3 is our doozy. This one is like example 4 in our textbook, right above this, where it talks about the average speed of the relay race. All right, so this one can get messy. Make sure you got plenty of room to work. Okay, so Lorenzo rides his bike at a rate of 5 yards per second. But how many miles can he go per hour? So we're actually changing two things. We're going from yards to miles and seconds to hours. So that's why you can get messy, because we're actually changing two things here. So when I start, I am going to start with my 5 yards in 1 second. Okay, so let's focus on yards. And it gives us a hint. 1 mile is our 1,760 yards. Okay, that would get the yards canceled out. But now we need to worry about changing our 1 second. How many seconds are in a minute? 60, right? So 60 seconds in 1 minute. But is minute what we want? No, we want hour. So then how many minutes are in an hour? Remember, you're making them diagonal from each other so we can cross out our, and I can come in and cross out my minutes. My seconds get all canceled out so that when we get our answer, it is a mile over an hour. Okay, so if I was to multiply this all the way across, okay, we do get 18,000 on top, and we divide that by our 1,760. So what does that really make? A mile over hour. Well, that makes, sorry, I thought I had the answer already written down. I believe that is the 10.2 that we are looking for. So 18,000 divided by 1,760, yes. All right, so this makes 10.2 miles per hour. All right, you have one on your homework that's just like this one. Actually, you have two. Problems 4 and 5 on your homework. 4 and 5 are like this. Okay, so when you get to that one, look at this one or example number 4 for help. Okay, so building on the essential question for today, explain why 3 feet over 1 yard has a value of 1. Well, what do we know about 3 feet and 1 yard? How many feet does it take to make 1 yard? So basically, then we could say that they are equal because 3 feet is needed for 1 yard. Right here. Okay. All right, so your homework is the next 2 pages. Okay, it is both sides, except you don't need to do problem 8. You're doing problems 1 through 7, 9, and 10. Look at what they start with. I'll help you set up number 1, but I'm pretty sure and confident in you of doing it. So their top speed was 607,200 feet per hour. So we're starting with your 607,200 feet over an hour. What do they want you to change this to? Miles per hour. So you need to change your feet. So how many feet are there in 1 mile? Okay, and then that will give you your answer. You got to fill in this blank here. Look back at the previous page where we have that units conversion. All right, so if the fastest human has The fastest a human has ever run is 27 miles per hour. How many miles per minute did the human run? So we did 27 miles in 1 hour. Okay. So in 1 hour, how many minutes are there? Okay, so that's where you're going to want to look into. All right. So set those up, finish them off, and then you have your homework complete. If you get stuck on anything, reach out to your teachers. Make sure you are checking your assignments that they are grading to see what you may be doing wrong. And always, always, always show your work. All right, have a great day.